Ampere Scientific was awarded an SBIR Phase 1, Phase 1 option, and Phase 2 to provide a potential solution for reduction of the inclusion content in alloy 53 used in critical aviation components such as gears and bearings. This effort, now in its third year and with an analysis of the size distribution and chemical composition of the inclusion material found in a number of commercial offerings. At least one sample of the alloy was obtained commercially from each of the known suppliers and analyzed for inclusions. The size and chemistry distribution variations were reported as a part of the Phase 1 option work. Additionally, the Phase 1 work developed a prototype process for inclusion removal via active control of the melting process during vacuum arc remelting, resulting in a proof of concept of inclusion removal at industrial scale. The results of the Phase 1 study, coupled with successful laboratory experiments, warranted the industrial validation of the process. This Phase 2 investigation. Founded in 2014 at Ampere Scientific, we are the world's leader in magnetic flux tomography, the physics of utilizing changing magnetic fields to identify the source of the change. Not entirely unlike magnetic resonance tomography, magnetic flux tomography utilizes an array of magnetic sensors to identify and localize the source of change, and can provide a three-dimensional map of the source and the dynamics associated with the source. Here, applied to materials processing, magnetic source tomography allows us to identify heat flux variations due to plasma motion within the reactor in order to quantify the effects on the system due to the variations. To accomplish these goals, Ampere Scientific maintains capabilities and expertise ranging from high-performance computing, computational fluid dynamics, computational electrodynamics, chemical kinetics modeling, finite element modeling, CAD/CAM, and fully coupled CNC machining capabilities. We perform specialty electronics design and manufacturing specifically for high bandwidth, high data rate digital data acquisition systems. Cleaner chemistry and control of the metal flow in the liquid metal pool requires that any process improvement be cost-effective. Our approach to solving this critical manufacturing problem is the following. Phase 1. Develop, design, and demonstrate feasibility of a technology allowing lower level of inclusion content. Phase 2. Develop and demonstrate a prototype production process with creation of sample material, determination of the size, type, distribution, and location of inclusions within the created material. Phase 3. Dual-use applications. Finalize and demonstrate at production scale the improved process. Determine the size, type, distribution, and location of inclusions within the material created with the new processing technology. Compare the quality of this material to the quality of traditionally manufactured material to verify the improvement. This Phase 2 effort is intended to provide the first prototype industrial-scale material with this new processing method. The objective of this work is to decrease the inclusion content by as much as 90% in the alloy X53 used in gears and bearings in certain weapons platforms. Any solution must be determined to be cost-neutral and value-add, and therefore must rely upon existing melting infrastructure within the United States. A clear need for operationalizing a technology to reduce the inclusion rate in alloys has been recently demonstrated by the V22 incident in Japan in November of 2023. In this case, the Osprey Pro-Protator gear bearing sustained a crack that caused catastrophic failure of the Pro-Protator. As per the published root cause, an inclusion defect in the pinion gear was the likely cause. This type of inclusion defect is deposited during the melting of the base metal that the gear is machined from and is below the detection limit of modern quality measures. Our goal is to reduce the incidence of inclusions by 90% over existing standards, vastly reducing the probability of these types of defects leading to mechanical failure. A reduction of this order of magnitude dictates that the size, number, and distribution of the defects be reduced. Additionally, it could mean a new quality standard be adopted to ensure that the material used meets with modern standards. The source of defects in specialty steels are introduced during the vacuum arc remelting of the base metal ingots used in the manufacture of these components. Vacuum arc remelting is the workhorse melting and refining step in the processing of specialty alloys and has been for decades, as it is a refining process intended to produce the cleanest material possible. The chaotic motions of the arc can cause a number of defects to occur. In fact, according to the literature, these shortcomings of the process have been well known and well documented for decades. As we demand more from our materials, we need to begin to demand more from our processing steps. The table here details the industry thoughts on the defects introduced during VAR processing and the reasons for them, which includes entrainment, fall-in, and segregation. Additionally, this table describes their impact on material quality and how VA metric and arc control solves the problems. Interestingly, this table was assembled from literature from 2005, which was reintroduced and refined in 2022. The industry hasn't changed, even though there is an industry-wide problem. At Ampere Scientific, we are experts in the use of magnetic fields as a diagnostic tool. We have developed a measurement technique for precisely identifying the location and dynamics of the heat flux, utilizing magnetic flux tomography. Much like a medical MRI, magnetic flux tomography utilizes the magnetic field external to the process to measure the variations within the process. With the introduction of a measurement process, we can now utilize this information to better control the process. Ampere Scientific has developed a new control system that utilizes the measurements as a feedback mechanism to control the location of the heat flux during melting. That is, we have taken the chaotic process of the heat generation during vacuum arc remelting and made it a control variable. This astounding result allows us to provide optimized melting conditions, including ensuring a uniform flux throughout the melting cycle. By applying a transverse magnetic field, we are able to influence the current conduction pathway within the system. Recall that the current conduction pathway across the arc gap, as shown, is the heating source for melting. Traditional melting, left image, provides for a statistical approach to the heat flux, resulting in a Gaussian liquid pool. Variations in the heat flux cause variations in the melt pool geometry and introduces turbulence. By applying a transverse magnetic field, we can actively control the current conduction pathway, resulting in a uniform melt pool that does not change during the melting campaign. Seen on the right, simulations and experiments have shown that the uniform melt pool provides for superior grain structure, a decrease in turbulence, less shrinkage, and higher yield. The industrial application of the technology, middle photo, has wide applicability to increasing the quality of specialty steels, nickel-based superalloys, and reactive metals such as titanium. Ampere Scientific has demonstrated its core technologies at scale melting other alloys of interest. Results here show how we were successful in tailoring the heat flux while melting an 8-ton titanium ingot with a diameter of 1 meter. On the left is the uncontrolled heat flux. Normal operation for vacuum arc remelting has a Gaussian heat flux with the mean at the center of the electrode. In this case, we see a Gaussian distribution with the mean slightly off-center. Meanwhile, on the right, we have controlled the heat flux in a star pattern. Additionally, we have the star pattern slowly rotate about the axis. This results in a uniform heat flux as seen on the histograms on the right. In doing so, we were able to increase the product quality, providing a much more homogeneous chemistry, and increase the yield by 19%. This demonstration of the effectiveness of our technology on a 1-meter diameter ingot provides both a basis for applying the technology to the alloy 53 case. What is left to understand for this case is the fate of the molten pool. Verification that the inclusion material does not migrate to the interior of the end product at industrial scale is the key missing piece. In order to validate the approach, our Phase 1 effort melted several samples of alloy 53 in our research scale vacuum arc remelting furnace. Here, we introduced inclusion material to map the fate of the material under different melting conditions, including the application of axial fields as well as transverse fields in order to understand their influence on the molten pool. With the application of axial fields, we see that the material is deposited throughout the product ingot, whereas in the transverse fields, the material has primarily been moved to either the outside of the ingot or remained at the top of the ingot. This key result provided confidence that similar conditions can be maintained at industrial scale. The goal of this program is to make significantly defect-free material for critical components used in aerospace systems. This would increase the mission readiness of the aerospace platforms and ensure that non-mission-related mechanical failures don't occur because of these components, or at least the number vastly reduced. Additionally, Ampere Scientific has shown a marketed increase in yield and an overall reduction in production cost because of the yield increase while melting different alloys then of interest here. We feel that similar savings could be achieved, providing a positive return on investment for the end user as well as a potential reduction in cost to the Navy. Finally, the VAR metric system provides the necessary information to build a digital twin of the process. Such a twin could be used as a model predictive control, further enhancing the capabilities of the melting platform. It also provides for better quality reporting. The durable record developed from the high-fidelity data provides a lasting product quality measure beyond what is capable today. At Ampere Scientific, we have been working on this solution for nearly 10 years. With our roots at the Department of Energy, National Energy Technology Laboratory in Albany, Oregon, where the base technology, the electric current locator, was developed, we have spent the past 10 years developing and refining the technology, including developing the manufacturing and quality assurance protocols for the products. Our commercial work started through a National Science Foundation SBIR in 2017, culminating in this SBIR, which was awarded in 2023. Through this cycle, we developed and deployed the measurement system at industrial scale, learning how to harden the technology against the industrial environment. By 2021, the measurement system was being deployed as an industrial measurement system. In parallel, we began the development of the control system with prototype validation on reactive metals in 2022. For the alloy 53 case, we have deployed both the measurement and control systems onto an industrial vacuum arc remelting furnace, where our host industrial partner is one of the alloy 53 producers qualified to provide this material for the aerospace applications. The measurement system has been taking baseline data for more than 6 months while the control system is installed and ready to be tested. Validation tests will proceed as soon as our industrial hosts are ready. Once successfully demonstrated, Ampere Scientific will make the results available to our Navy sponsors. The goal would be to have the Navy request a complete set of trials for material qualification for aerospace use from our industrial sponsor. Here, we will make a statistically significant amount of material, have it tested to ensure that the resultant quality holds over several cycles, as is standard practice for the qualification process. These statistical results will be provided to the regulatory agencies for approval as required. A similar qualification effort is underway for material being made for commercial jet engines with GE. As these results become available, they will also be shared with our Navy sponsors. Finally, through our standard marketing structure, we will inform our customer base of the process improvements and technological advances that Ampere Scientific has demonstrated at industrial scale. These results will be a key component for further adoption of our technologies in the United States. Ampere Scientific is already working with a number of suppliers and equipment manufacturers. We currently have equipment deployed at Universal Stainless and Alloy Products, our industrial sponsor for this project, Special Metals Corp., Aubert, and Duval, and ATI, all superalloy manufacturers, and KPC Metals and ATI, reactive metals manufacturers. Additionally, we are materially engaged with Consar Corp. And Inteco, key equipment manufacturers, and are providing regular updates to Bell Helicopter and GE as to specific progress and company developments. Overall, we are aware that large majors such as Boeing and Lockheed Martin are key players for Ampere Scientific in request material made with this process. Finally, there are hundreds of companies worldwide that could benefit from these advances. Our aim is to continue to develop the customer base, bringing the industry into the 21st century. Dr. Paul King is the founder of Ampere Scientific. During his tenure at the Department of Energy, his team invented the electric current locator, a technology used to locate diffuse current conduction profiles in systems where direct measurements are not possible. This work, culminating in an R&D 100 award for one of the 100 top innovations in 2013, laid the groundwork for what is now the VAR metric measurement system. The continued success of Ampere Scientific relies on the entrepreneurial resources available to us. Specifically, support from the state of Oregon through their Catalyst program, the National Science Foundation, the U.S. Department of Energy, and especially the U.S. Navy for supporting the industrial trials necessary to convince the industry that new technologies are required to ensure higher quality material.